Here's my draw on ADD. ADD is a fictitious facade created for the purposes of expanding basically the incarceration pipeline to prison that we know have been existing since the mid 80s. You know what I'm saying? And now it's a big epidemic, but we've always known that it existed. And ADD is just another tool to further expand that pipeline to prison. Let me tell you what I mean. First of all, we are told that ADD is a neurological order, right? So if it's a neurological order, how is a teacher assessing a student and saying that that student has ADD? Is it based on the actions of the student? Is the student falling asleep in the classroom? Is the student doing certain behaviors and certain types of things in the classroom that might make the teacher say, well, they're having a problem with attention? Could be, right? Well, my thing is this. Whenever you bring in things of that nature, before you make a judgment call like that, you might want to do background research into the particular student to find out what's going on in their home life possibly, or finding out what's going on outside of the school before you are labeling them as ADD. And the thing is this, if you're not a neurologist, you can't make the assessment. You don't have a CAT scan or an MRI in the classroom. You know what I'm saying? You don't have blood work and tools to do, you're not a phlebotomist. You don't have tools to do blood work or so on. You can't run, a procedure to find out if this child is ADD. But what you'll do is you'll use certain signs and symbols and say, oh, they're out of order or they're ADD. But we know and understand that being culturally incompetent, that you can use behavior and you can use the ADD thing to your advantage. And that's what happens to a lot of our children. You know what I'm saying? We make up 12 to 13% of the population, 12 to 13, 14% of the population in America. But we make up 65 to 70% of the special ed resource classrooms. We make up about 45 to 50% of the HIV rate, probably a little bit more. The fact of the matter is we're a very small population, but we excel in high percentages in other aspects of society. And that's because it's systematically designed like that. You understand what I'm saying? So again, you can't just say a person is ADD. You just can't throw that out there because there is no scientific or medical validity behind that. So if this kid is falling asleep in class, maybe it's a cultural component. Maybe this kid is the only one who's, able to keep his brothers and sisters up at night or to watch them while his mother is working. You know what I'm saying? He might be the adult in the home. You don't know what's going on, but you're not asking questions. You're automatically assuming that this child is ADD. You know what I'm saying? Because culturally, you can't understand. You're incompetent to the lifestyle or the background or the surroundings and environment of the population that you teach, the demographics that you're teaching. You have no clue. And that's what happens most of the time with these misdiagnoses. Now, on top of the misdiagnosis, you have some children who are indigo kids, who are star seeds. You know what I'm saying? Their intelligence level is at another playing field. So it is important for the teachers to up their game in the classroom. You have to keep your students engaged. It's not about dittos and handouts and packets. You got to engage them. We have a thing called multiple intelligences. There's at least 7 or 8 ways to learn. You should engage all of those methods in teaching. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody does not learn the same way. That's an actual fact. So ADD, ADHD are all, to me, facades. They have not been validated or medically proven. And I'm sure later on we're going to find out that it's all fake. It's all fake psychological science, just like Scientology and a whole bunch of other things. It's all fake. You understand? So the ADD thing is, again, it's a toy. It's a ploy that's utilized to basically continue the legacy of exploitation. That's how I see it. That's how I see what it is. It's exploitation at its best, and if we continue to allow it to occur and we take the word of the teachers who are not medical scientists or nothing, they can't make this assessment. You know what I'm saying? And they make the assessment based on their lack of cultural competency. They do it all the time and they do it on purpose. Again, this creates a paradigm because see, once the label hits you, the label follows you all the way through. It follows you. You know what I'm saying? So if you're special ed or you're a resource child, that label follows you. You know what I'm saying? And that cuts off your perspective, and it cuts off your possibilities of doing and accomplishing certain things in life because you've been labeled intentionally. You understand? And that cuts off other things, and it can lead to disparity, because that's what happens. You understand? That's what happens. So the whole ADD thing is, we have to begin to understand that that's a ploy. And as far as, it's no different than vaccines, it's all a ploy. No. And what we have to do is, we have to begin to engage our children with real information and teaching them real information. You got to give them some positive habits. Sometimes they can't find positive habits out here because there are no positive habits out here. Their environment is not positive. Everything they're doing is based on the opposite of what's positive. So we have to create the positive reality for them. We have to create the positive habits for them. And we do that by being the positive habit ourselves. So we do things and we engage them and get them involved in those things. So on that, I'm just going to say, ADD is a facade. ADHD is a facade. I don't buy it, just like I don't buy vaccines. You understand? Everything we need to fill and fix ourselves is right here. You understand? But if there is a case of some type of mental situations going on, that is stemming from the abuse of drugs. Generations, we have generations of drug use and passed on genetic drug use. So that means that we have passed on genetic consequence for substance abuse. So you can see that in certain, bipolar, schizophrenia, there's certain characteristics that you can see. And we have a community full of undiagnosed people, generations, and we can see it in the behavior. But that's a whole nother draw. But on that, just wanted to share that with you too. So, again, ADD is a joke. It's all a joke. It has no bearing. Peace.